All right. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Dreamslayer Studios' Marvel Superheroes World War II campaign in the Mouth of Madness. If you all haven't been watching the series just yet on YouTube, we are partway through campaign 2 of In the Shadow of Evil, and we already have several episodes of this particular leg of the campaign under our belt, which is titled In the Mouth of Madness. I usually always try to give everybody a little bit of a rundown to kind of get you caught up, but I certainly would encourage you, if you're watching us on Twitch, to seek out the Dreamslayer Studios channel in YouTube so that you can see firsthand what has brought us to this point. Regardless of how you're joining us, thank you all for joining us tonight as we continue in the Mouth of Madness. And if you like what you see here, do please consider supporting us on Patreon. We also have just recently been able to bring up the Dreamslayer Studios store. We've got it up and running, and we've reached 500 subscribers on YouTube. Yay! So we've got Dreamslayer Studios t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, as well as stickers and coffee mugs on both TeePublic and Teespring. The links will be available in the description of our YouTube videos. So, most recently, on In the Mouth of Madness, our heroes thwarted an attack on Wakanda by the High Evolutionary and his Animan, who were in search of the Drop-O-Stones that they claimed to be the property of Wundagore. After a series of interrogations, our team has discovered a connection between the vibranium resource that connects Wakanda, Atlantis, and Wundagore, an apparent third location of the mysterious metal, and the fact that the deposits may have been the result of a series of ancient asteroid strikes. Howard Stark and the Wakandan scientists have decoded the Drop-O-Stones and discovered a world map hologram hidden inside that has revealed a series of ancient artifacts that, when placed together, may unlock more secrets of the Drop-O-Stones and perhaps sway the fate of the war to the side that assembles the mechanism first. In addition to the dozen Drop-O-Stones already in their possession, there are 5 additional items that must be acquired: the Roman dodecahedron, the Antikythera mechanism, the Goddard coin, the Baghdad battery, and the Roman tooth wheel. Will has been given access to one of the Drop-O-Stones to aid in tracking the bits and pieces, while Howard works on a better communications device that the team can use while they're out in the field. And if I remember correctly, Priest wants a word with Howard before the team gets ready to embark for Rome. So, really quick, before we get into Priest's little conversation.
Remind me of one thing. I know we discussed this last game, but I've forgotten. Is Rome still under Axis control at this point in World War II?
It is. In 1943, which is about where we are right now, Mussolini is at the beginning of the end for his involvement in the war right now. But currently, it is still under occupation by the Italian army and an organization that's called the Black Shirts, which was kind of their militia.
Their version of the Brown Shirts, basically.
Right. Yeah. So, yes, it will be problematic getting in. But that's one thing, certainly, that we will probably be discussing with Azuri and anyone else that might, probably Peggy
Mm.
as well, to get you guys in and fairly unnoticed.
I assure you, I will do my usual job of being undercover with great, efficiency and subtlety. I knew a lot of Italian kids growing up, Hey, what's the matter, you?
I will suggest we go as nuns and priests.
Oh, or you could be little, just a singing family, perhaps, that is traveling into Italy for a concert.
Von, it's a trap family.
He's certainly been probably to Rome just based on the fact that he does, archaeology and anthropology.
Mhm.
So
you would certainly probably know your way around at least a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think he knows the language, but
Sorry, I'll keep muting myself. Perhaps Dr. Arcane can throw one of those translator spells on us again.
Well, we've got the what Howard is working on currently is that earpiece that you guys have been using. And that was something that was going to be a communication device, kind of a short range communication device, although fairly long range for this time period. But what he's planning on doing now is kind of amping it up so that you've got a little bit more long range, and plus, since that's also part of the translation, he's going to be working with the Wakandan scientists to kind of amp that up as well and perhaps make that a little bit better for you too. So hopefully communication is not going to be as much an issue as what it has been in recent missions. So why don't we take a moment, kind of discuss what the plan is moving into Rome first. Peggy Carter is still in Wakanda with you guys and is still officially your handler. And King Azuri has appointed a couple of members of the Dora Milaje to act as liaisons and advisors, perhaps, to you all as well. Peggy is aware, because of her involvement with the resistance in France, that there are members of the Vatican that are assisting in the resistance within Rome as well. And she has a few contacts among the shipyards nearby that would potentially allow you guys boat access in, but you certainly would have to be coming in some sort of disguise.
I still say we should disguise as priests and nuns.
Well, since the Vatican has the is assisting in that matter, that actually, Peggy agrees that actually may not be too bad of an idea.
It give us access and stop a lot of questions.
I actually think that's brilliant.
One of the Dora Milaje steps forward and says, if this is your desire, then we will have some of our best tailors work overnight to provide you with the proper attire.
As long as I'm not going to burst into flame as soon as I put on a habit, I'm good.
And Peggy...
Make sure you carry a ruler and wrap some kid's knuckles with it.
Peggy recommends that you guys return to the little airstrip in Egypt, and then you'll be able to take a truck to the docks there in Egypt and disembark from there to make your trip up to Italy.
Sounds reasonable.
So are there any other questions or concerns that you guys feel like you need to address before you turn in for the evening and get your rest?
Nope.
No.
I know with Priest, he's been waiting for an opportunity to be by himself so he could commemorate his fallen comrades back from the facility. So he does take time to do that before turning in. And he probably would take time to actually kind of like, hello, Peggy Carter, introduce himself since he's a completely new face.
Mhm.
Member of the team that she did not vet.
Not the wrong tree, guy. She's taken. Sorry.
Taken one.
How much information are you going to give to Peggy Carter?
Well, since I've been pretty forthright with everyone else on the team, it doesn't seem like it would make much of a difference to withhold information. If she tries to press Priest for any kind of information that he feels like would be particularly crucial to how things could work out in the timeline, or anything technical, he's probably not going, he'll just opt, I'm not going to answer that, you know. But as far as being upfront with the fact that the Terminators that she was there for the attack are from another time in the future, and that he's come back with relationship to trying to keep them from taking out Stark. He'd be forthright about that. He probably would take the time to at least do one of his X-ray scans to make sure that it's really Peggy Carter and not, a Terminator.
And she
Not a Terminator?
She definitely passes muster.
Catholic, not a Terminator.
That's
Careful
good.
on what depth you set that X-ray vision on, young man.
So here's my question: do you reveal anything about the vision that you had?
Ooh. I feel like that's a team call. Because, well, which vision? The one that brought me here, or
The one about seeing Stark and like the mirror image and all of that sort of stuff.
Okay. Once again, since the whole team has seen that essentially because of Mr. Arcane, withholding it wouldn't make sense, because anyone who's associated with her as a military, reason is just as likely to reveal that, I would think. So yeah, he's forthright about the vision as well, and that machine, and having seen that particular vision. But he, just to clarify though, just because I saw a vision doesn't mean that's what's going to come to pass. It could be completely nothing. It's good to be prepared for if it is something that could occur though.
And she asks you, so this precognitive ability that you have, this is something that you experienced before from your time?
Yes, it's something that I've had for quite a while.
And you say that it may or may not come to pass.
Yes, those larger visions of that nature, they're a little bit more debatable as to whether they're going to occur exactly as I've seen them. My understanding is it has to do with different temporal realities and the way those are fractured out.
This apocalyptic future that you have described to me, do you believe that Howard is responsible for this?
No, I don't think that he's directly responsible for it. Based off of the research that we were able to do in my time, our suspicion was that these Terminators actually came back through time and replaced the Howard Stark who is the real human being who is here now, and that they used that as a starting position in order to further their own ends to create the time that I lived in. So, not entirely certain how they originated, if there was a starting point in the past that they then went and restarted at a new point from. But I wouldn't point the finger at him specifically.
And yet somehow everything is all tied to him.
So if we stop them from replacing Howard Stark, wouldn't that mean you wouldn't be born?
I'm getting a
and you
headache.
yeah, so am I. Yeah, and you couldn't come back.
I don't like it. Make it stop.
No, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. This is the kind of thing only Howard Stark could understand.
It's perhaps true.
But I believe it's safe to assume you have already vetted Howard, and you can tell currently he has not been duplicated.
Up to the last time that I saw him when he was displaying the machine, which I, out of character, I didn't say I did that then, but if you're okay with saying that I did, then,
Yeah, you can safely say that he, as of right now, he has not been assimilated.
okay. So I say yes. Thus far, as far as what I've used as my ways of trying to discern, it's still the Howard Stark that we want it to be.
So this vision that you saw of this portal opening, it's different than the portal that brought you here. Is that correct?
From my recollection, it was.
It seems different, yes. Yeah. It's not spherical, so it actually looked almost more like a doorway of some sort, like an energy doorway of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Is what we are doing now leading us to that point?
Potentially.
I don't know a lot about quantum physics, but I do know that when you start talking about time travel and you start trying to use it as a guide to guide what you're going to do, you end up in some sort of weird paradox loop thing where you're trying to base your actions on something that may or may not have happened in some it just things get really weird. We just have to work with what we have. Trying to guess how it's going to affect some far off future, nothing personal, priest, it's a fool's errand.
Well, I agree with you that there's no reason to treat it as a fact. The suggestion that I would give is to pay consideration to what it provides, be prepared for, if it occurs, what you believe you would want to do in the situation, and be ready to adapt in all instances.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say that the mere idea of this absolutely terrifies me. But this time a year ago, there was no such thing as a super soldier or a man who sets himself on fire and flies around the country. So I suppose anything could happen. Well, you all get some rest. I will radio to Egypt and arrange your transport from there to Rome for tomorrow evening. Will,
Yes.
it is my understanding now you have a particular means of transport yourself now. It seems to be faster.
I mean, I can bring everyone else too, but they don't really like it a ton. But yes, I can get anywhere that I've been basically instantly.
Anywhere that you've been.
Yes.
I see. All right.
Although some places I haven't been too. I just have to know what it looks like. Because we did that trick with the with that city in the Himalayas.
Didn't Hank put that directly in your head?
I took it out of Hank's head.
Vice versa. Yeah. Strike that, reverse it. Okay.
Well, perhaps to cut down on at least a bit of time, if you're comfortable, it might be prudent to... Is teleport the right word?
You think so?
To teleport the group to the airstrip in Egypt. You are familiar with that.
Mm-hmm. You've been to Rome. I'm familiar with a number of different places there.
Do we know if they're busy?
Occupied.
I can assure you that some of them, if we go at the right time of day, are going to be really, really empty. Bars are pretty empty first thing in the morning.
Oh no, you're gonna make me get up early again.
Oh yeah.
Well, I will bow to your judgment on this, but my instinct, my espionage instinct, tells me it might be best to simply go in undercover and not just announce yourself unexpected into any particular location within occupied territory.
True.
You never know what you might stumble across.
Traveling also gives us a nice backstory.
Yeah, coming up with a backstory of that explains I just appeared out of nowhere is a little bit of a lift. That is accurate.
And no amount of forged paperwork tends to fix that.
Well, I note that in this era, there was a lot less record keeping. You had birth certificates and stuff, but no computer files. Not a lot of stuff was cross-indexed. You could take it a backstory a lot easier in the 40s than you could today.
Also, the language thingies that Mr. Stark made for us that let us kind of speak German. I don't suppose he's got an Italian version.
That is one of the things that he is working on with that the long range stuff.
Oh, good.
So it's all intermingled. So yeah, he's going to work on making that better for you as well.
Oh, that's great. Because my Italian's limited to 2 words.
Is one of them spaghetti?
3
How did
words.
you know?
Okay, so let's kind of fast forward just a little bit and jump to the conversation between Priest and Howard Stark. The plan was to meet at about 10 o'clock in the morning, have your little discussion, and then you guys would be disembarking roughly around 10:30. Mark, you will probably be able to meet up with Stark at the Wakandan labs where he was working on this stuff the night before, and he's just finishing everything up by the time you're walking into the lab.
Okay. So, Priest comes in, probably feeling fairly refreshed after having gotten an actual night of sleep, and notices that Stark probably has not. But you've been working real hard, haven't you?
A lot of coffee, a little bit of whiskey.
Well, you get a lot of thanks for it.
I rarely get the thanks that I deserve.
Why don't you take a seat for a second? I'll pull a chair over to you.
If I sit down, I'll fall asleep.
You stand then. So I'm Maynard Priest. You may recollect that from when they had us introduce ourselves in the King's Chamber. But now we're in a one-on-one, so I'll tell you again. I'm under the impression that you have been attacked by something that looks a little bit like this. And he taps on the pauldron that looks like one of the heads of the Terminators.
Oh, yeah. I got the scars already, well, wounds, to prove it. And, you know, when I said last time I like the outfit, I can see the similarities. So I can see that you are basically made up of whatever those things were made up of. Or
The
at
armor,
least the
anyway.
armor is, right? I mean, there is a person underneath all of that.
There is. Also, I take the time to check him one more time just to make sure there's still a person.
Yeah, no, he's good.
But, yep, I'm human. Couple of extra genetic bits and bobs, but other than that, I'm no different than you. Significantly less smart, probably.
So, we haven't really had a chance to talk. But I mean, what I saw, what I'm seeing, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You are not from this time.
Bingo. You got it. I'm not. Neither are they.
So, how did they make it happen? How did you make it happen? Time travel, I mean.
Well, I guess in the most layman's of terms, they created a time machine. They used it. And then we hijacked it and used it to get me back here.
So the robots did this, not man.
Correct.
They're sentient.
Yeah. Not always very empathetic.
Android?
Yeah, you got it.
I mean, we have a few of those that are rudimentary at best. There's a few that have gained sentience. One in particular that I know of very well, called the Human Torch. Not many people know. I mean, it's good enough that it can fool most human beings into thinking that it is actually one of their own. That has troubled me, knowing that it's out there. And that it has its own free will. Because it makes me wonder if something like what you are only beginning to describe to me now, and what I can only conjecture to actually be a fact, is that eventually this artificial intelligence becomes better than us.
Well, I don't know about better than us, but they certainly have a drive to outdo us and, I hate to say, get rid of us altogether. And the thing that brought me back here is that they want to get rid of you and replace you with one of them. At least we conjecture that that's the case, based off of research that we've done. So I basically came back here to protect you, but after having had a chance to kind of get used to the person in the files that I was able to read and actually see the person in person that I'm going to be trying to protect, I don't think that the plans that we originally talked about in my time will be very useful here.
And what were those
Well,
plans?
Well, keep you in hiding, take you from point to point, 24 hours looking at you. You know, basically things that would take away your freedom. And I don't get the impression that taking away your freedom would be something that you would like, possibly would even stand. And I don't know if it would be the right thing to do, to be honest with you.
Have you heard of the term kicking and screaming in your time period?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, so you got me pegged.
Oh, that's good.
So, what is it in particular that they think I can do that makes me a target?
Once again, suspicions, but you're an eminent mind in your time. You're someone who's a trusted voice in the technological community. You're someone who is able to generate many different devices of your own design. If you think about it, you're the perfect cover for them to take your place, be a trusted voice that helps to navigate through the technological advancements of this time and beyond. I think that that's possibly the primary purpose in their mind, is to use you and the reputation you've already established as a way for them to begin emplacing the battlements they need in order to become what we have to struggle with in my time. But if we can stop them from doing that, then my time might not even have to be a thing. I might be the last soldier in a war that never has to even be fought.
Something's been eating at me since that night in France. The timing of this seems to be just a little too convenient. You're saying that I may be responsible for some piece of tech that may or may not be a counterpoint to the apocalypse that may or may not be happening sometime in our future. I'm wondering, what if I didn't create it? What if I, with a little help from my friends, found it?
That could be the case. There's an ability that I have. Precognition is how generally people would term it. Let me describe to you a vision that I had recently. And I'm not going to go through doing that for us as the players. We've already heard it enough times. But I do go ahead and relay to him the vision that has the duplicate of him that's coming through a portal that doesn't look like the one that I traveled through, and the various people who flash in and out in the machine, you know, in the theory, something that looks akin to an Okanvan lab. Now, these futures, these are possibilities. These are not things to be treating as fact. They are possibility and good to prepare for. So preparation is kind of what I've got in mind as how I could maybe help you.
So answer me this. I'm a numbers guy. You don't necessarily strike me as a numbers guy. I may be wrong. But if you were a numbers guy, this precognitive ability that you have, how many times out of 100 have you been right?
1 sec. No, I won't do that.
What's my rank again?
I'd say that 85% of the time, there's definite truth to them. About 10% beyond that, there's variation. For instance, I wasn't the person I was expecting to come back in this time. There's another person named Bishop who I was expecting to be back here. But that didn't happen.
So are we doing the right thing just by moving forward, or do we change direction?
I think that until we know for sure that you shouldn't move forward, you should do exactly what seems good and right to you.
So, you know now about as much as I know about these drop-a-stones and whatever this mechanism is that these bits and baubles are supposed to do. I don't know what it's supposed to do in the end, but the numbers are all adding up to being something that could change the course of this war. And we know that there are more of these drop-a-stones that are out there. The High Evolutionary himself said that he has hundreds of them, or dozens, if I remember correctly, right? So we know those exist. We know that he's looking for ones that are missing from his collection. We have a dozen. It's very highly possible that the Nazis have a dozen. Maybe possible that the Italians have a dozen. It may be possible that the Russians have a dozen. So my instinct is telling me that there are going to be other people that are going to be looking for the same shit that we're looking for. And I feel like your handlers before, or well, not yours, but the rest of your group, your new adopted group, they succeeded in wresting from the hands of the Nazis several powerful mystic items. Now these things that we're looking for, they ain't mystic. They are technological. Ancient technology. And perhaps an ancient technology that is in and of itself, in that time period, would have been considered magical. But these things combine to do something. And whatever it is, it's something powerful. And based on what you saw in your vision, I think we got a 50-50 chance that it's going to do something that's going to put us into a better position of winning this war, but it may also put us into a position of starting a whole new one. That's 100 years down the line. So that's what concerns me. Do we win this war to just start a new one? And do my grandkids have to face the apocalypse without me?
I think that I'll be honest with you, you don't come from a time like mine and not have a little bit of hope. If you don't have any hope, get out of here real quick. There's plenty that we don't know about things such as time travel and things such as destiny, free will. So I'm not going to begin to try and tell you that we shouldn't do something or should do something, because I think that the moment you let yourself stand still and not move forward, you've taken yourself out of the game, and that's almost just as bad as just giving it over to evil to win. Although I guess technically speaking, I can't call the machines evil. They're kind of without. Right?
Okay.
But I came back in time to protect you, and that's what I'm going to try to do, with your help anyway.
Look, my mom didn't raise no scaredy cat. So I'm not going to run. I'm not going to hide. But how easy is it for these things to find me?
That's a good OOC question. So I know that I was able to find our group, the Reclaimers, with the use of the time machine.
Wait a minute. What did you call them?
Oh, I'm talking at OOC.
No, I got you. You said that. You said that. I got you.
Congratulations, you invented the name.
No, I wasn't speaking in character though.
Sure sounded like it to me.
No.
Why not?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. What if you knew their name?
Yeah.
Well, I leave it to the group if y'all want me to accidentally spill the beans on the names.
Yeah.
The name that was decided.
Works for
Go
me.
for it.
Okay. All right. Well, so what I'm asking though out of character
Yeah.
is I know that Priest was able to basically triangulate onto the Reclaimers using their biosignatures, is my understanding.
Yes, and I think specifically, to Bombshell, if I remember right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Why me? What did I do?
What haven't you done?
Hey.
So
Rough.
is this the kind of thing where, based off of my experience with the temporal machines, that it would be possible for them to directly triangulate upon him? Or is it more that they would have to kind of do the, Terminator first, the first Terminator movie, they have like a phone book and they've got 3 of them, they've got to try to find where they are, kind of
Right.
a deal.
Yeah, so right now, based off of what you know historically, okay, the presence of Stark at the location in France, at the train station where he was attacked, that was a known location at a specific time. And so that was a gamble on their part, thinking more than likely he's going to be here around about this time. So they targeted that particular moment in time, that particular space in France, to be able to try to pinpoint him there. They had already sent envoys ahead of time because there was evidence of the fact that a couple of the resistance members, the French resistance, had already been replaced by at least one Terminator, if not more. Actually, I think there were 3. There was Knapsack and then 2 other just generic soldiers. So that work had already kind of been planned. Now, historically, he never went to Wakanda in this time period, or the time period that you are aware of. And you only know a smattering. The robots, the Terminators, probably know more than what you do. But according to your records of the time frame of what Howard Stark was up to at this very moment, he was not in Wakanda. So more than likely, they are probably targeting where they think he's going to be.
Okay.
But now he's not there. So it is going to be a little bit more difficult for them to track him because essentially this timeline has now diverged. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Okay, so going back, I see. Well, I know I was able to find the reclaimers by homing in on Bombshell, but I think that for you, they're using historical data based on where you would have been at different times in the war to try and get to you. And based off of the data that we had access to, you're in a completely different place than we would have predicted. So I think that they will have to actually do a little bit more legwork to find you. Now, if you still have access to any of the materials from when the you had your first scrap with them, depending on whether those things are active or not, that could have an impact. And I know that, for instance, Spartan still has access to some materials from the T1000. That's the living metal one, essentially, that you ran into. So when I originally tried to check on it, I couldn't tell whether it was letting any signals out. So, but those are things to be cognizant of.
Out of character, I think you were there when we used the energy detection thing to determine that they were in fact sending signals to each other. Am I incorrect in that?
I think that was before I was around.
I think it was.
I think
before,
that was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it
Yeah,
before? Okay,
that was
I apologize.
The Russian was there.
Mhm.
It was
Okay.
just before Priest showed up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
My apologies.
No, that's okay.
And I think that was the parts of the T1000 coordinating,
Pulling together,
trying to
right.
get back together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking to each other so they could reassemble.
Right. But what I was thinking that I could do to try and help you out, there are some vulnerabilities that these things already know about themselves that they haven't been able to counteract over time in their own manufacturing process. I'd like to tell you the vulnerabilities. I'm not going to tell you how to counter them. These are puzzles that you would need to figure out for yourself if you want to live. I think you've got the kind of mind that would be better to let you figure it out on your own. I think that's probably the best way for me to offer you protection is allowing you to weaponize yourself.
So, what do you think? Stay put or keep moving?
I think continue doing what you're doing. And in the meantime, with the vulnerabilities that I tell you about, start creating ways for you to protect yourself if these things come after you.
Well, I suppose the good thing is I got a whole army of big, bald black women that'll come to my defense. If anything happens, I'm probably in the most secure place on Earth that I know of.
Yeah, this is a good placement for now, especially with these laboratories. They'll speed things along for you. Also, I did tell Carter about this, including the vision. So I've been as on the level with all of y'all as I can be. You know, there are things about the possible future that I'm not going to tell y'all because I think that takes away your agency. But in as much as what relates to you directly, I've done what I can so far.
So you can't tell me who won the 44 World Series then, huh?
I think that was the Detroit Red Wings.
Ah, good. Writing that down.
Wait, that's a hockey team.
All right. Well, listen. I'm going to give you the stuff that I've been working on. These are new headsets that are a little bit more discreet, that will allow translation and working with some of the ideas behind the imagery that we saw in the Drop-A-Stones. I think I've figured out a way to kind of mask your mouth movements as well as giving you the ability to project whatever language it is in the area that you are needing to communicate. It's still rudimentary, you still got to be a little bit careful with it, but it should certainly pass. And I think long range, as far as communication device through this earpiece, we should actually be able to go about a quarter of the way across the globe with these, with the Wakandan technology that I've been able to borrow for these. That's really going to expand our range quite a bit.
Genius. He goes ahead and collects everything and stands up because he's been sitting down the whole time. And thanks for the 24 minutes.
You got it. Hopefully we'll have 24 more when this is all said and done.
I'm hopeful. Take care of yourself.
Right back at you, and take care of those, what did you call them?
Shock. The Reclaimers. I guess I should tell them too.
It's got a nice ring to it. I like it.
It does.
Kind of sounds like a band.
I think that Priest would laugh really like have a really good chuckle at that.
I mean, we have done a lot of walking.
So
Flying.
I'll leave there and return to all of y'all and pass along the tech with the information that he gave about how it works.
All right, so at this point, we'll kind of fast forward just a little bit to kind of get us moving in the direction that we need to be moving. Peggy has set up the transport from Egypt with the expectation that hopefully Will be able to transport you all, teleport you there to the airstrip in Egypt. You'll then catch a ferry from Egypt into Italy, landing at the docks in Rome. You'll be disguised as a group of investigators from the Vatican.
Okay.
2 female nuns, 2 priests, and a couple of Vatican guards.
We've actually beaten up real demons. I mean, we're halfway there.
Right?
I choose the name Mary Jemima.
Mary Jemima?
Jemima is a good biblical name. One of Job's daughters is named Jemima.
I will. I think I would probably do best as a guard.
Okay.
Do I get a
Funny
pike?
enough, I
Don't
probably
those
would
guys
too.
have pikes?
They do have pikes, yeah.
I think that funny enough, even though I'm named Priest, I probably should be a guard too.
Well, I guess that leaves Will and I as priests.
I don't think anyone's buying me as a guard.
Probably me
Have
neither.
hide all kinds of weapons.
Yeah, they do.
Habit.
Yeah. All right, so Will,
Mhm.
the whole process of getting to Egypt fairly instantaneous, for you guys. You have a little trip, through the dark forest dimension to get there, but your passageway is a little bit more open than what it was the first time that you went through. We know how it works, and the observation tower basically kind of pinpoints the area that you want to go, and you basically ride the dark force to where you want to be. You'll board the ferry, heading over into Rome, and once you get there, you have the drop a stone that is basically your focus to help to try to hone in on the energy potentially of the items that it is that you are looking for. So here, supposedly within Rome, there are two of the mechanisms, the Antikythera mechanism and the Roman dodecahedron are the two that are located here. So how do you want to go about the process of trying to track these?
Well, I think we need to try to get a read now that we're a little bit closer to see if maybe we can narrow down exactly where both of them are being held, or if they're even being held together. They could be in two separate locations completely. Which honestly would kind of be better for us, because it would kind of imply that one person didn't have them and potentially know what they both were. So I'm going to spend 100 karma and say that I'm spending karma, and I will roll to see if we can locate these bad boys.
Okay.
Let's say, so I roll my rank in Dark Force. Okay, so spending karma. I think
31,
I've already got
that.
I've already got 2 successes on this, so I only do need the green, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll just spend the 10 then.
Okay. All right, let me check something here real quick.
Or do I need to spend up to yellow to make it actually work?
No, if you've done red, you would have had to get a red the first time, yellow the second time, green the third time.
Okay.
And I've got to look at something on a map here, because I'm not real sure how close these things are. Okay. So, you are getting... Okay, when you get into Rome, the docks are located in an area that's called Ostia. Ostia. And Pontil di Ostia is the docks that you guys are going to be reeling in at. It is probably about 15 miles in to get to Rome, kind of the center of Rome from the docks. You are getting the energy signature, and it's like if you tried, on your way here to just give it a shot, like from Egypt, let's say, you kind of started to kind of work from there, and you were getting kind of a weak ping, from there, but just directional as far as like kind of northeast from your location. As you're getting closer, it's getting a little bit stronger. No, I'm sorry, northwest, I guess. Is that right? Hold on. Where's north? Yeah, I guess that would be northwest from Egypt. You basically pass through Sicily, like at the end of the boot there, and up towards Rome. Now, I need you to make just a reason feat for me.
I don't know what north is either.
North is hard. It's kind of
Oh,
relative.
damn it.
Not really, but yes.
I was like, I don't need to spend karma. Will's a pretty smart guy.
There was
Yep.
Mr. Arcane. I'm gonna have you make a roll as well.
Okay.
Same.
Save us from ourselves.
And I'm making a
Reason.
reason?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I've got plenty of karma, so I'll spend karma. Oh, good. Good thing I spent karma. I'll get that up to a green. He's his ears are still ringing a little bit from getting his bell rung.
Now, the holographic map that you guys saw that was the result of the spinning drop of stones.
Uh-huh.
It was difficult to kind of make out and really truly pinpoint exactly where these things were located, but you seem to have remembered that there was some distance between the one that was really specifically in Rome and then the other one that was somewhere perhaps in Italy or nearby.
Okay.
What Will is now sensing is both of these items are very close in proximity to one another. Not perhaps in the same location, because he's getting two distinct sets of pings coming from the energy signature. One that's a little bit closer, one that's a little bit further away. So really, you have got to kind of use this Will as like a dowsing rod, and basically just continually feel where this energy is coming from. Now, you're familiar with Rome and the basic layout, and it is a bit of a maze, trying to get to where you're going. But as you are kind of following that energy in from the docks, you realize that it is leading you to one of the most recognizable places here within Rome.
Colosseum?
And it is the Colosseum.
That was what I was about to say too.
Yeah.
I mean, for that matter, I could, if you want, I could scout astrally the city. I should be safe enough that way. And just kind
don't
of
try to go into the vault.
Yeah, no, I don't. I feel like there's got to be some stuff there, right?
Seems
but I mean,
likely.
it would be easy for me to cover a lot of ground that way.
Mm-hmm.
While you're doing your part, I can just kind of roam the whole city very quickly, and surely, surely there would be an aura that perhaps I could pick up on from the astral. So
An aura.
I could do that if that would help.
What type of aura are you looking for?
Well, I mean, he's looking for a magical aura. Now, I realize the Dropa stones are not exactly magical, but that's what he would be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. And I'm not going to make you roll for it. We know that you're capable of doing this, and so forth. Now, if the results were going to be different than what I'm about to tell you, I probably would make you roll for it.
Yeah.
But with Rome being what it is, and one of the most ancient civilizations on Earth,
sure.
It is also historically known as one of the more mystically inclined. Historically.
You're saying there's magic in Rome?
Yeah.
Weird.
So you are coming up with lots of arcane signatures that is basically causing kind of a static.
Okay.
Now, if you had a particular idea of what sort of magic that one of these items would be producing, then you might be able to hone in on it. But since these items have been hidden and lost to time, the likeliness of you having any idea of what it is that you're actually looking for is going to be slim to none.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. But I mean, that would still be something he would try. Like, hey, look, I'll see if I can get a sense of it. And when he comes back, he'll just say, in other places, I might have a better sense of it, but there's kind of a high, I would probably call it a high background count here. In Rome, it's an ancient city. Many things of, many events of significant psychic, I guess psychic significance have happened here, and over so long that, without knowing specifically, it's hard for me to find it. I guess we'll have to rely on your dowsing, which is reliable.
Does the dowsing give me a feel for proximity, or like does it get stronger as we get closer, or is it just continues to be this direction?
Well, it has certainly led you to the area of the Colosseum. Now, is it going to give you specific, I'm standing right over top of it? No. But you have basically kind of a, probably 2-block kind of radius where you feel like, all right, it's got to be somewhere within this radius. And it basically, you're kind of going around a portion of the Colosseum, which has been kind of cordoned off. They are not accepting tourism at this point, obviously, because of the war. And at a glance, you can see that there are some members of the Black Shirts that are actually standing guard here at the Colosseum. But according to the dowsing, the drop of stone that you're using, it's in there somewhere.
Well, we know the Colosseum is Godzilla's cabinet.
It is what? Godzilla's cabinet? Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. I've just watched that. That was that was so funny.
Are you not entertained? Okay. It's in there somewhere.
Well, we could wait till tonight and just fly in over the top since it's open air.
Do we know if it's particularly well lit at night or no? Or
I don't believe it's lit at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this time period.
Especially not in World War II.
Not. Yeah.
As long as you don't make any sounds
honestly,
like bombers, we should be okay.
We'll say if it's lit right now, it gets bombed. So probably not.
Right.
Well, I did actually kind of look that up, and Rome itself was really never under any pertinent danger from bombing. Because of the historical kind of importance of that city, and where it was located as far as within Italy and so forth, it was never really a huge target. That's not to say maybe sometimes things happened, but for the most part, especially these older structures were left alone.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
well, at least we got something to try.
So did I hear you want to wait until evening to kind of just drop in?
Seems like the safest way to go.
Unless
we're
we
trying to
try
avoid
and
notice.
talk our way in.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I mean, if somebody wants to try that, I certainly won't argue. But it's not going to be me.
Yeah. Probably best to try it at night. Certainly, even if we had to talk our way, there would be less people to convince, right?
Agreed.
Sure.
And to clarify, the things that we have currently that do the translation thing, will they still just translate to German, or?
Nope, it's whatever language you happen to be confronted with.
Okay.
Now, there are probably some limitations, but I mean, for the most part, the main languages, English, Italian, German.
If it tries to understand a Creole
French.
accent, though, it's just out.
Right.
What nonsense is this? I feel like there was some really pertinent information
I'm gonna make
there.
a name for myself here today.
Some important exposition we just missed. Anyway, sorry.
Funny. Okay. Yeah. So we'll wait till night, and well, I mean, so we're posing as members of the clergy, right? We should have access. Should we have access to the Colosseum? No, probably not, right?
Here's the
Probably
thing.
not.
If you're a good little Catholic Italian and a priest tells you that he has access to something, are you going to call him a liar?
Well, but I mean,
Sure.
who's got control of the Colosseum right now? It's
The-
not Italians, right? Or
It is the
I mean,
Italians.
I think the Italians have everything.
Yeah, and the black shirts are a militia that has basically kind of taken over a portion
Okay.
of the Italian forces, as far as my memory serves.
Okay. So among us, because Hank is not especially a devout Catholic, so
Will
How about-
Will is a lapsed Catholic, so
so Will knows.
Mhm.
Okay.
Shelley is and never was Catholic.
There you go.
Hey, I'm a good Catholic boy from Allentown, so
yeah,
I can handle it.
that and I don't.
You gotta go e pluribus unum, Latin.
I was about to say
That's
this
a different thing.
This is prior to them dropping Latin as the language of the church too. So yes, in fact, you do need Latin because that was the '60s.
Okay. So, I mean, that's a good point. We have. I mean, what do we have to support that other than, a collar and the habit, and that's about it.
Well, and Peggy's always good at working up paperwork. So, I mean, any credentials that you would need, you have at your fingertips.
Okay.
I mean, we could probably coast right in.
I honestly don't think it'll be a problem.
Just give him a
probably
real
go-
stern look, like he's been a
It'll
bad
go-
boy.
It'll go real smooth. When does anything go wrong?
Say 3 Hail Marys and 3 Hail Marys and
Hmm.
Father.
I don't know.
What you do,
I'm
just
not
look very sternly at them
Yeah,
down your nose and
three
say,
Hail
my
Marys
child,
and the
what would your
rosary,
mother think?
yeah.
Our fathers.
Yeah.
We
Or
had
tell him
arrived
you're
here on a
disappointed.
ship, didn't we?
What'd you say, Mark?
We arrived here on a ship, didn't we?
Yes.
Isn't that how we... Did we get put into contact with any of the resistance that's here in Rome at all? Or did we kind of bypass that?
We kind of
from-
bypassed that a little bit. You would have some contacts in the underground here that she probably would have given you. And if you choose to contact anybody, we could certainly play that out if you wanted to.
Okay. Is there any need for us to gather information through that before we head in to the Colosseum, y'all?
I mean, I suppose that is a point we could find out if there's any. I don't know what. Where would that? So here we're looking for the
Antikythera.
Yep, and the
Antikythera.
dodecahedron.
Mhm.
and the dodecahedron. So that would probably be with art objects, probably, right?
Mhm.
Possibly. And there are, I am positive that the Catholic Church employs any number of antiquarians, archaeologists, and anthropologists who study specifically Catholic history.
Yeah. So
I can
maybe
talk that talk.
Yeah. Well, and so I mean, I suppose technically Hank could also, right, with his talent there, right?
I would think.
I mean, he has
Uh,
Scholar of Antiquities.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, he would know about the items, even if he wouldn't necessarily know a whole lot about priestly stuff, right? So
He may
I
not
mean,
know when
maybe
to
we
genuflect at mass, but he knows the stuff.
right. So maybe, I mean, we could still go at night because surely there would be less people around.
Sure.
But we could say, hey, we've been sent to review and or evaluate I don't know, the art objects that we're I'm not sure.
Artifacts. We'll refer to them
Yeah.
as artifacts.
Yeah. So I mean, we could do
Yeah,
that.
I think night's better. I just think it's more comfortable,
Great.
less obvious, less easy to get shot again.
Okay. Okay, so I'm down for going at night,
Okay.
Yeah.
but still
Yep.
being pretty obvious about it, or not necessarily obvious, but direct.
Yeah, we don't
Rather
have to
than
fly in.
Yeah.
We can just
We
go
could
in
just
like
walk
regular
in.
peoples. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more explainable. To do we have our cover, so we have lodgings, I'm assuming, as part of that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Some hotel somewhere in the city.
Mm-hmm. There is
Okay.
your contacts are going to be located at the Basilica de San Clemente,
Okay.
and there is a hotel called the Palazzo Merulana, Merulana, nearby. That they have basically set up somewhere for you to stay, while you are there in Rome.
Okay.
Okay. So we could go there, check in, set up our stuff. Should we set up a fallback? Well, we have. I mean, I can keep
While
us
we're
in
waiting,
contact
you could go and
telepathically.
scout the Colosseum in more detail.
Sure. Sure, we can do that.
I can also ask Dad to take a look too.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, even though I couldn't detect the device, I mean, I could still scout the Colosseum. I mean, even if I don't know where exactly it is in there. Will's narrowed down that it's there in the Colosseum, so I could scout that.
Because you can go through
along
walls
with-
and stuff, right?
Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
Well,
There you go.
I mean, he could go through normal walls and stuff.
Right.
Who knows what
This is the
what
Colosseum after all. Who
might be
knows?
like. So, who knows what that? So it would be a
Well,
surprise to him. that
If
he
you come to a
couldn't go
wall
through
you can't
walls.
go through, that pretty much tells us that there's something very important there.
Yeah. So I mean, I could do that while we're waiting for night to fall. You guys want me to do that, or you just want to wait?
I think more information is always good. Definitely take a look.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he'll settle down in the hotel room. We did say hotel.
Mm-hmm.
He'll sit
Well,
there on the.
It's a palazzo, so it's almost like
Palazzo.
a bed and breakfast, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So he'll settle down on the bed in one of the, rooms, I guess, and assume kind of a meditative pose, and then astrally project, and then he'll zip through the streets to the Colosseum, and just kind of see like how many guys are there. What kind of forces are there? Is there something unexpected there? Right. So.
And then Jeff, did you say you were going to have Bobby
Yeah.
take flight too?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna sit here. If we're gonna sit here in this hotel, he might as well go and eyeball the Colosseum, and I'll look through his eyes and see if I sense anything. Horace has got me all magicked up. Maybe I can sense something. Who knows?
All right, so as a cursory glance, we'll kind of go with Bobby's kind of view of the Colosseum itself. He takes flight, flies overhead, and he does spot some movement within the Colosseum itself. And it's up on kind of the second and third tiers that kind of surround the structure. Let me pull up this other map here. There we go. So basically, you see right in about this area right in here, and then also kind of up in here, there are two soldiers, black shirts, that are kind of just perusing the area. There is one main entrance that you can't quite see on the map, but roughly it's about out here. Yeah.
If there's a map, I'm not seeing it at all.
I'm only showing it to the people that are looking at it right now.
Okay, that's fair.
So
That's
I'm
go to the map.
hiding it from the people that can't actually see it.
I guess that's one advantage of a VTT is if I draw a map at a physical tabletop,
Yeah, I see.
everyone sees it.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone
Okay.
close your eyes except these people.
So Johnny, you said you weren't there yet.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I see it now.
You
Yeah,
basically
sorry, I
got
was
one
on
guy
the
about
phone.
right here.
Okay.
And then another one that's kind of right here, and they're just kind of patrolling the area, so they
Yeah.
move about a
Yeah.
little bit. There are two more guards that are at the front gate, which is located on ground level, roughly about in this area right in here.
Okay.
And then one more at the opposite end, but there's really no entrance on that other side, but basically just somebody kind of keeping watch over
Okay.
there. So all in all, you've got about 5 guards, roughly, that
Okay.
are in the area.
And not especially on high alert, right? They're
Nope.
just
Nope,
you
just,
know,
just
doing their normal-
duty. Yeah. So
Okay.
now going in on the astral plane, the Colosseum itself is what you would probably, in the arcane terminology, refer to as a node. So it
okay.
is an area of high power that is connected both to the Earth, Gaia, and to probably the Roman gods, and so forth. So it is an area of high activity when it comes to arcane stuff going on. But you're wanting to try to hone in and focus and try to find something that's maybe a little bit more precise, correct?
Well, more than anything else is so knowing that Rome, and presuming that the Colosseum was gonna be kind of a hotbed of kind of magical, significance. More than anything else, he wanted to make sure there were like no spirits or other things kind of wandering around that the guard that no one was aware of, that no one would be aware of, without doing this kind of work, right? So I mean, the guards wouldn't necessarily know. None of those people would know. I mean, that's his big concern.
Sure.
It would be cool to be able to have a better sense of, oh well, it's in this direction, or it's in this room, or it's in this part of the Colosseum, or it's down in the, what is he doing? There's like a maze under the Colosseum, right? It's not a maze, but passageways like beneath the ground level, right?
Well, are you going down there now in that area?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I guess that was kind of outside of game. So so he'll start doing that. He'll start like, okay, well, here it is here. There's a passageway here clearly. I guess he'll start to follow those passageways,
Okay.
and wherever that leads him, because this is very quick. This movement is very quick. So
in a nutshell, the Colosseum is fucking haunted. I mean,
Right. Well, that's what I
Imagine.
was. Yeah.
yeah, it is filled with spirits, both sentient and residual here. Now, are these chaotic energy? Probably some of them are. Do they mean you harm? Probably not. And could they cause you harm? More than likely not. Perhaps in your astral form, you might be taking a
I
little bit
mean,
of chance, maybe going in.
100% probably could, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So, from a bird's eye view, you can tell that there's a lot going on here.
Okay, let me ask.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me ask this.
Mhm.
So this is not necessarily surprising to Hank, right? He's, familiar with these sorts of things. Are there's, and I'm not sure. Maybe I need a psyche or something. But are there spirits that he think would be, like, I don't know if friendly is the right word, but certainly agreeable? I don't necessarily think they're allies, but are there spirits that he thinks he could talk to?
Well, without making a psyche feat or even a reason feat, based on everything that you are seeing here. When I say chaos here, I'm not necessarily saying chaotic magic, but there's so much going on here.
Sure.
To try to pinpoint and cut through the muck and actually have an intelligent conversation with someone without getting interrupted by somebody that may be wanting, or something that may be wanting to do you harm, you may be taking a little bit too much of a risk by yourself to try to do that. So there is a certain foreboding, a certain trepidation probably coming from you to say, I'm not sure I want to get in the mix of that in this form.
Well, and I mean that's also part of what he's trying to evaluate, like how dangerous is this in this way, what is the threat level, you know what I'm saying? He's just trying to survey this situation. Is it going to be harder for me to work magic here, and stuff like that? So if he gets down there, what's that?
I was like, it's kind of like trying to go poke around in Chernobyl for souvenirs.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, if he gets there and from the astral this looks like just a fucking mess, he'll be like, oh, okay, I've seen enough. I'll go back up to Bobby. The is it a falcon or hawk? Is there a difference?
Yes,
there is a difference.
It's a falcon / eagle.
Okay, falcon.
So it's a feagle.
Yeah, feagle, like a beagle.
An eagle, an elkin.
Yeah, so he'll pace the falcon, and then he can manifest, right, as an apparition, right, and say, it's too hot there. We should turn back. I have an idea, but can you understand me? He says.
Can Shelley try to speak through Bobby?
Ugh. I mean, you can try.
You can try.
I would not
Or
suggest spending karma on it because I don't think that's going to work. I'll save you the 100 karma for the for the power out there.
Back in the hotel room, out of nowhere, Shelley just says, "Yep."
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, maybe does the falcon start to turn back towards the hotel?
Well, I mean, the falcon probably does understand you.
Yeah.
And it's up to you whether or not Shelley was actually. Can she only look through his eyes, or can she also hear?
No, I think she can probably hear as well. It's
okay.
Full sensory. Yeah.
So it's up to you whether or not Shelley was actively kind of peeping at the time when Hank spoke to him.
Yeah, so I don't know. He'll pace the falcon because I presume the falcon's like circling overhead, right?
Yep, circling overhead and getting a good look, and then probably will start heading back, I would assume.
Oh,
well, I mean, I suppose I could head back, and then you could
Yeah.
also tell the falcon to come back. So all right. So he'll say that. I don't know if she heard him or not, and then he'll zip back to his body, you know, very quickly, and he'll sit up there, you know, in the bed and say, "Well, that is quite a cauldron down there. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's some of that construction or I mean well, it is a place of power, and as with any place of power like that, spirits and other things tend to collect there.
Well,
So
a lot of people died there too, right?
yeah, well, I mean that's what the books say. So if that's what it says, it's probably even more, right? So
Right.
yeah, so that's quite a mess and not something I want to tangle with alone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
no one else can join me that way. So
we saw there were like 5 guards or whatever. Not a lot. Didn't look
Yeah.
like they were on high alert or anything.
Mhm. No.
So shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm guessing
And I
that
don't-
probably at night it's even less.
I mean, I would presume, but
Certainly
there's
no
only
more.
one way to tell. Yeah, it's only one way to tell.
Yep.
I
Well,
don't think anything there was especially malevolent, but
Let's grab a light
Yeah.
snack and
Yeah.
prepare and head out.
Sure.
As a warning, we're in Italy. They don't do light snacks. The
Yeah,
only
good point.
way you can stop them from bringing you more food is to kill them.
Oh,
It's the only option. If you say, I want nothing else, they will bring you as much as you ordered to begin with.
Oh.
If you say, I would like a little bit, they will bring you twice as much.
oh.
It is, in fact, heaven. Except for, the fascism.
Except for the fascism.
I mean,
Huh. Maybe not in wartime. I don't know.
Are you saying that something could cause the Italians not to provide me with pasta?
I don't know. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
In the infamous campaign for North Africa war game, the game that requires 10 players and would likely take several years of real time to finish, there was a special rule that Italian units needed to have 1 liter more water per day because they had to cook their pasta.
Oh,
I
my
would
God.
I would support this rule even if I were the Italian player.
And that's actually historically true. And that's just the level of detail of this insane
That's
game.
spectacular.
I love it.
Okay, so he'll pass that along. All right. Could you hear me? By
There was some
the way,
digitalization.
Yeah. And you're frozen. Nope, not
oh,
not
no, I mean
frozen
he was
anymore.
talking to Shelley.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you hear what I said to
Oh,
Bobby?
I don't know. Was I listening at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
you
I heard you. You didn't hear me answer?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
No,
that's-
although I suppose I could have just telepathically reached out to everyone. The crown accompanies me.
no, that's
I
true.
didn't think. Suppose I could have done that, but all right. Well, let's press on.
So does he have that on all the time, and he just has like an invisibility on it?
I mean, that's what I've kind of assumed was the case, but because it sounded to me like, Chris, you were saying it was hard for him to take it off.
to take the crown off. You
Yeah.
have to consciously, like, really remove it, and it's probably a psyche feat, probably to remove. Yeah.
So it's easier to just
Okay.
put an illusion over yourself that it's not there.
That item is also addictive, just to be clear.
Oh, it's fine. What do you mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, when he does it, it's fine. When I
Yeah.
do it, it's problematic. I see how it is.
Okay,
I mean, I
here-
never stabbed anybody with the crown. I mean,
Hey,
put it that
okay,
way.
look
I'm-
now.
I mean, Shelley, let's put it to you in numbers terms. What's your reason?
I'm not answering you.
Okay,
That's irrelevant. It's
Because his is
irrelevant.
incredible, and I think that means he gets to decide if it's okay or not.
Spoken like you smarties all stick together.
That is accurate, yes.
In sexist terms, men can deal with it, women can't.
Oh, I didn't say that. She said that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. All right. Well, we I guess if there's anything else you need to get ready, then get ready. But this should be not a big deal.
When is it never not a big deal?
He says.
This is going to go smooth. I foresee no problems. Huge success.
Spartan uses time to sharpen their knives and spear.
Is it possible to take out life insurance on the person that just said it was going to go smooth?
I feel like somebody else already has that policy.
Like somebody does.
And if it goes bad, let's see. Shelly can fly. Tank cannot. Okay.
I can't.
Spartan
Oh,
can't.
pretty well.
How about Priest? Can Priest fly?
No, he's not able to do that.
Jump really far? Teleport? Nothing? Okay.
I mean, could make an endurance feat or strength feat to jump really far.
That's not what I'm going for. Okay, how many people can I carry? Oh, well, Shelly can carry several people, right? Okay, so
I could probably carry 2.
yeah, I could probably carry Spartan. Hank's not especially strong. Oh, well, that works because if something happens to Will, okay, we'll come and collect you once you're done destroying everything. Or not you, but the other guy.
I mean, I appreciate that.
We'll come back.
I wouldn't, but I mean, that's a choice.
We will.
Don't worry, I'll beat him right out of you.
Oh, you just are looking for excuses to punch me.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you would say that. Probably
Because you're looking at me gleefully and cracking your knuckles.
It's just a
Yes,
coincidence. Just a coincidence.
My knuckles are stiff.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, just,
All right. So,
From all of the not punching you I've been doing. Yeah, so I think we all get ready and get ready to move at night.
yep.
Also, Hank, you might want to heal yourself up.
Oh, yeah. Because time's passed, right?
I've been
Yes.
staring at that half full life bar, and my inner Shelly is just cringing the whole time.
Like, hey, wait a minute. There we go. Because definitely a bunch of time's passed by now. So
Yeah.
All right, so then when night falls, what's the plan on actually getting into the Colosseum?
I mean, I think we're just going to walk up to the front gate, right?
The entire plan on getting into the Colosseum is the person with a clipboard approach. Look like you belong there, cruise on in.
Yeah. I'll let Will do most of the talking for that, though, because I don't know any of that stuff.
We shall use Catholicism's guilt as a bludgeon.
Can
Have you
we
been to
procure
confessional today, my son?
some light? Like flashlights? Is that a thing?
Yeah, there were flashlights at that time period, yeah.
Just thinking if we're going to be poking around in the under chambers of the Colosseum, we might want light.
And more than likely, I think the Wakandans probably would have provided you with a couple of those if you didn't already have them yourselves.
Those
Yeah,
are
well,
probably
I mean,
better.
plus I can conjure light.
Oh, that's
a
true.
Simple trick.
Well,
But batteries work too.
redundancy is a good plan.
Well, it's a good point, and I should mention, and I don't know if this will matter to Will, because you're not exactly in that area, but there's some overlap there. There is a lot of, how would I describe it? A lot of background count here. There's a lot. This is what I would call a nexus, a node, where magical energy gathers and collects. Magical, psychic energy collects. So I'm not sure if that
sounds a lot like
I
a
don't know how-
powder keg. Is that?
Well, it may be more difficult for me to use magic there. I'm not sure. I've never had to operate in such a place. I mean, even Camertage is powerfully magically active, but it's quite clean. That's not how it described this. So I don't know how that will interact with your counterpart. Well,
I don't know.
so
I mean,
just be
what I
aware.
do and what he does isn't exactly what you do.
I know.
So it is something to keep in mind, though. I'm not sure if there's psychic things involved. He definitely does that. That's kind of the basis for a lot of what he does. So that could lead to some interesting situations.
Just
I will
something to
keep
be
that in
aware
mind.
of. So,
If I feel him getting loose, I will warn you.
all right. Well, we walk up to the gate, or the gatehouse.
All right. So there is
Okay.
one guard there at the gate, and you are not making any attempt to kind of conceal yourselves. You're just walking straight up, correct?
I just in case it needs to be made explicit, I am currently in human form,
I figured as much.
but I wanted to make sure that there was no debate on that.
What's up with the big orange guy?
Yeah.
Not too hard to conceal the Kopesh underneath all these layers of nunnery, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I do need to ask something as far as priest go. Not actual priest, but actual priest.
Yeah. Good point.
I'm still confused.
I don't know. the guy named priest.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
With the mech suit that you have, is that something that can be concealed? Can it be drawn in? How does that work?
If you allow it to be something that can be drawn in so that it's easier to maneuver around with, then I certainly will take that. Admittedly, considering the fact that he lived in a time where that wouldn't have been a priority, it's not something that I could definitely see grounds for saying it can't do that. What I had been wondering is, since they had tailored our outfits in Wakanda, if they had intentionally tailored the outfits so that the armor could be hidden. But I leave that to you. If you would like to be a generous GM and allow me to actually be able to move around with this throughout the course of the game, I will take you up on it. But I also would understand if you chose different.
What's the general consensus?
So he's calling you a dick, basically, is what he's saying, Chris. Is what I'm getting.
Well, just as a general rule, from my players that have been playing with me for well over a year at this point, am I a generous GM most of the time?
Yep.
Yeah, generally, yeah, very generous.
Based off the playbacks, that's what I've seen too.
I gotta say, in general, that when I'm running a game and my players call me a dick, I take that as a compliment. So you got that.
I would say in this case, my opinion on that is they sent him back in time on a mission to where this kind of tech isn't going to be obvious, around. So they probably would have taken that, one would think, into account.
It's a good point.
However, knowing his backstory.
I know something you don't know.
Clearly.
Since he wasn't the guy that was supposed to be sent back in the first place.
Oh, valid point.
I don't think that it would be something that you would easily be able to conceal. Or I mean, as far as like pull into you, that it doesn't really have that particular quality. Because my interpretation of this, I believe, is that it is essentially made up of bits and pieces of technology from that era, and most specifically, Terminators. Which is how you were able to basically transport yourself into the past with that stuff on you. Because normally when a human is sent back, they appear nude. But when the Terminators are sent back, they have the flesh on them, but they also have the internal workings. The internal workings are external for you. So unless you were wearing a suit of T-1000 armor, which I don't think that we specified that, I don't feel like it could be. So with that in mind, it's going to be hard to conceal as well. So
3 strokes for a lot, though.
and
We need
that's
a
where
Holocaust cloak.
that's where I was going, Beth, was we initially thought, the priest would probably not be a priest, but a guard. But he's not going to be able to fit into the guard's kind of garb. Guard's garb.
Oh, I can make some sort of illusion, probably.
But there is that as well.
There's
so, yes,
that. I was thinking
illusion.
Holocaust cloak, but this is probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
Good reference.
So yeah, I mean, I could make some sort of illusion. Now, how that's going to interact with this high background count, I'm not sure, but I'll be happy to do that.
All right, why don't you give that a shot, and we'll see how that goes first. And this is something that you would have done before you got here, obviously.
Yeah. All right. Okay, well, I'll spend a little karma, which is great because that was a shitty roll.
And I don't know what your karma count's like, but if you wanted to just save and spend it 10, I can take the armor off and leave it.
No, it's okay. I mean, I already said what I said. It's fine. Even so, I mean, that is, let's see, I rolled a 16. Yeah, I mean, that's only like 15 karma, so no big deal.
All right, so you are able to basically create an illusion of a papal guard, essentially, for priest. The only thing is, because it's green, it doesn't have the auditory cover that you would really hope for. So when he walks, he has a very distinctive footstep that is a... He's very heavy-footed as he approaches.
Okay. That is very fair. That was a shitty roll.
All right, so
best I could do.
That problem has been solved. So now we are approaching the guard shack out in front of the Roman Colosseum. Will, I take it you are kind of leading the pack. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Clipboard in arm.
And, big cross, the whole thing.
All right. As you all are approaching, you said that you were basically just going to kind of try to walk in, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The guard comes out of the shack and politely puts up his hand, and he says, "Excuse me, Padre. My apologies, but the Colosseum is closed."
Colosseum is closed to the church?
Oh, well, of course, no, not to the church, but...
well, then please step to the side.
May I ask what your business is?
We're here to examine some of the relics that have been found on site to ensure that they do not imperil the souls of the faithful, my son.
It gives the guard the glowering nun look.
Oh yeah, I was
Like
just gonna
that
say,
movie.
Shelly's doing her best nun glare right now.
Both of the nuns
How
pulling
dare
yardsticks.
you
ruler.
Yep. How dare you interfere with the father's business?
A pair of them pull up yardsticks, hold them like samurai warriors.
Don't make me get out my ruler.
Apologies, Padre. Unfortunately, this is a target for potential terrorist activities, and we must be very, very careful. Of course, I do not question, but I would be remiss if I did not ask to see some credentials.
That's okay.
Well,
We have those.
Will looks at his collar and then just looks up at the guy dead ass in the eye.
Uno momento. And he goes back.
I mean, we
to-
have paperwork though.
Yeah,
We do, but
So Hank will play the soft hat and be like, "Oh, brother, he's just trying to be a good soldier."
I understand. Sister, you have the paperwork?
Yes. They hand over a lot of papers.
Grazie. And he opens them up, rifles through them very, very quickly, giving them a just cursory glance, and then he hands it back to Spartan, and says, please forgive. I am simply doing what my orders require. Please make yourself at home. We have 2 other of my battalion that are pacing the grounds inside, but I will let them know that you will be coming in.
We appreciate your diligence, my son.
Grazie.
I'm just gonna kind of nod
go with
and
God.
look very,
Go with God.
very stoic and serious.
Then do the priest sign of the cross thing where they're
Yeah.
You went the wrong way.
Oh, you do it backwards. Oh, shit.
I knew it.
Hank won't do it. He'll do it backwards. Go with God, my son.
All right, so you guys now are going to be coming into the Colosseum. You go up a set of steps and end up coming into basically the second tier, roughly about right in here. And as I said, there are 2 guards that are just kind of pacing the interior of the building at the moment. And you can spot them as you come in. But they kind of look when you arrive, but they don't pay a whole lot of attention to you. It's not like they are, intently watching.
Yeah. Well, we probably should ask where the reliquary is. Right?
Yeah,
Because
I think so.
We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we could ask one of the other guards that are there that are kind of walking in our general direction. Maybe we could flag them down.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So Hank will flag one of them down. My son.
What can I do for you, Father?
We've been sent here to inspect your relics. Can you direct us to the reliquary, or your vault, or where you keep these items?
Apologies, Father. I do not know where that would be located here on the premises. I believe most of the holy items would have already been taken from the site,
These
perhaps
would
at
not
the
be
beginning of the war.
These would not be holy items. These would be historical artifacts that might have been unearthed recently.
Again, I apologize. I do not know of anywhere on site. Most of the items of any historical importance were moved from here quite some time ago and have been taken to the museum.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, that makes sense. Perhaps they meant for us to inspect the site that they were originally. He turns and nods at Will. That makes sense.
Indeed.
Can we see where any kind of gateways or entrances to lower levels? Or
I mean, all of these areas right in here would have been like the entrances, basically for the gladiators, kind of around.
Right.
There's one one big one right over here. There's a couple of small ones in the four corners, basically over here.
all right. Well,
Be right back.
Mm-hmm.
so Shelly will bust out her flashlight and point it at the nearest entryway into the lower level here. I'm guessing probably right there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just have to do a thorough survey.
And most of these entrances to the underground area are locked shut with wrought iron gates.
Okay.
Well, actually, I say most, all of them. If you are trying to get inside and underneath this thing, everything is locked up tight.
Gotcha.
What is it
Do
locked
they
with?
have padlocks on them?
Yeah,
or...
chained and padlocked.
Say, I mean, I don't. If Shelly wants to go through those, I'm pretty sure Shelly can go through those.
Right. Yeah.
She will. She'll grab when the soldier turns back the other way. She will grab the padlock and hold the chain, and then just twist the padlock. Do you want a strength roll on that, or
No, that's
Okay.
fine. I can hand wave that because I know you're strong enough to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Going into one of these areas, obviously, this is ancient stonework that these things are made out of, and essentially you enter into kind of a very narrow but short corridor that leads off into what appear to be old cells that would have housed probably 5 to 10 gladiators back in the day. And this larger chamber that you basically walk into has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6 individual kind of chambers that would have housed a group of gladiators. Not a whole lot really to look at here other than just bare floors with a couple of small pits dug that look like they lead to like a trough that goes elsewhere, and you can imagine what that was used for.
I would rather not, thank you.
But most all of the relics and stuff have long been removed. Now, there are some maybe chains and stuff on the walls, but this appears to be an area that is kind of off limits to the general public. If there were tours that were going on, they just didn't let people down here.
Can't let them see the poop trough.
No poop trough.
I guess let's just do a circuit around the place and look for any other entryways to lower levels or anything that jumps out at us.
I mean, are we out of sight of the guards at this point?
Well, she was, because she was basically going
Gotcha.
into one of those just kind of, and they have kind of gone about their business and are walking around and really, like I said, not paying too much attention to you. So you can get by with stuff, maybe not as a whole group going into one of those things because they're technically off limits, but if they lose track of one of you at a time, no big deal. Mark, you asked if you could use X-ray vision. Did I hear you say?
Yeah, I thought I was in the room too. So if I'm not in the room, it might not be as advantageous out there.
Gotcha.
in-
Okay.
in your yard.
Well, we've found kind of what Shelly wanted to do, so we've kind of dealt with that. Let's kind of go down the line a bit and find out maybe what the rest of you want to do. If you want to step up and say, "I want to try this," let me know what you want to do. and don't all go at once.
Well, I guess sort of poke around and try to figure out if I was a secret hidden magical artifact, where would I be? Like, is there any place that looks like there's maybe a, concealed trap door, or, something that a staircase that maybe has been look for something that might have been very recently walled off, like
What about
obviously
the Emperor's
new
box up there?
construction.
Okay.
Ooh.
Why don't you make Tank a reason feat?
Oh, no.
Oh dear. Sure. Hold on a second here.
Hey, you know what?
I am
If it
probably
makes
gonna
you feel
spend some
better after
karma-
this, I'll make a strength feat. How about that?
karma. I'm going to spend some karma on this.
Oh, look at that.
Huh. And I spend karma, I actually get a red result.
Okay. So, you kind of are walking around, end up over on the opposite side, over in this area here. Now, roughly about right here,
Yeah.
right here, are two more entrances that are kind of similar to these underground, the things that take you like to the gladiator prep areas. But this right over here is kind of more of like a solid wall. You're kind of taking a look in that area. The architecture is beautiful to behold. It has worn over the years. You can kind of see where the rain has kind of started to erode some of the cracks and so forth as time has marched on. Most of the areas where you see the erosion, you can kind of see the mortar essentially that holds everything together. In this particular area, which is roughly about maybe 6 feet wide and maybe about 8 feet tall, just looking at this one particular area, it's difficult to see where the mortar actually would be, which kind of gives you the feeling that this might be, perhaps something that has been placed here at a different time, but it still seems to be of the same stone, which I think is limestone. Is that right?
Yes.
Still made of the same stone, still seems to be the same age and everything, but there's something about the seal that just doesn't look the same as the rest of the stonework around it.
I will try and see if it, with human strength to start with, if it seems like I can pull loose or push it in or turn it or something else along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I have good strength in my human form, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I've watched, Abbott and Costello meet the mummy. I know that you push on the wall and it spins and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not unlikely, I would think of that.
The Kindle thick.
Yeah.
All right, so with your human strength, I can tell you nothing happens. You push on it. There's full resistance there. Nothing moves. Nothing budges.
Do I see him giving it the old shoulder check?
I'm going to say at this point you're probably still in the.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All of this is kind of happening simultaneously.
I'm going to gesture for one of the smart people to come over here and take a look at this before I start smashing up a 3,000-year-old building
Mm-hmm.
on a hunch.
And remember, you've still got the two guards that are in sight of where you are currently.
Oh, we'll come over.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about this seal it looks off, like it's too new. You know what I mean?
I will examine it. I believe this is the very definition of something that would qualify with Scholar of Antiquities.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can go ahead and make that roll. Ah, there you are. You, in your time of working with like tomb raiding and stuff like that, you know.
Such an ugly phrase.
I was gonna say, damn.
I mean, accurate.
You know, grave
I
robbing.
think I did
Just the
work
correct
for a
word.
museum, so
I was gonna say,
Antiquities recovery, please.
reclamation. Hello.
There you go. So in your thievery, go ahead.
yeah.
You have the big cross, but you also have a rosary.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you get kind of down on, like, you kind of crouch a little bit and kind of put your hand up against where the seam is. You feel just a little bit of a breeze coming out of that. You take the rosary, hold it up, and you can see just the cross at the end of the rosary, which is super, super thin, just flutter ever so slightly. So you know that there is something coming out of there, and it is a colder breeze that is coming out of there. It's ever so slight, but you can certainly detect it.
Will is going to grasp that thing with telekinesis and pull it out.
Mm-hmm. So this 8 foot tall, 6 foot wide, attempting to pull it out right now. The telekinesis, though, does that? Did we not determine that actually is blackness that is actually doing that, or is it invisible?
Oh no, it is not invisible.
Okay.
It is surrounded by an aura of blackness.
Oh, no.
Which I hadn't really thought of, but I said what I said.
Okay.
So let's go with
I
this.
said what I
It
said.
is kind of dark.
We are going to roll an intuition on both of our guards.
Why is that?
Got a yellow
no!
and a white.
Why is that
Can I
priest
try
causing
and
an evil
block their
black
view a little
aura?
All right, so you reach and begin to pull. The issue here, what is the strength on that?
Incredible.
Incredible. Okay, so you reach in and you're pulling, correct?
I would like to pull, unless it seems like that is destroying something, in which case I will try pushing instead.
Gotcha. All right, so you reach in, and like the tendrils of this reach into the thing. Now you can't feel with that, so you're kind of going blind here. And you begin to try to pull out nothing. And then you kind of use that energy to kind of force it that way. You get resistance, but you hear something plunk. But that's all you get. And I mean, did it move? Maybe at the most a centimeter, but probably less than that. But you detected some movement when you did that. Now, I'm going to make a reason feat for my guy that got a yellow on the intuition. A green.
He needs to stop rolling high.
And you're probably not paying attention to this at all.
Not even a little bit.
But and I'll get to that here in a little bit. So we'll keep going with that. What do you want to do now that you know that you've gotten at least a little bit of movement there?
You want me to take care of the rest of this now that we know which way it goes?
No, I think there's a mechanism in here somewhere. It's got to be attached to something. So based on years of thievery, we're going to look for some sort of trigger that would potentially release this, which he assumes is a secret door. I'm going to lobby to use Scholar of Antiquities instead of Intuition.
Yeah, hang on one second.
Is that feasible?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were like, you can lobby.
Hey,
My
all
word.
right.
It's like Will's worked for the British Museum or something.
Okay, so your assumption that there is a triggering mechanism that opens this is correct. And in your history of trying to activate things like this, a lot of times whatever that mechanism is nowhere near where the actual access point is that you're attempting to access.
Huh?
So you begin looking elsewhere, looking for signs of something else. And knowing that it's probably not right here, you start looking around and up and so forth. And it is evening, probably 9 o'clock or so, and the moon is out, and it's a nice bright full moon, so you guys can see fairly well. Even without the flashlights, you can see pretty well in here. And from the angle of the moon, you catch a glint of light coming from up here. It's just a pinpoint of light.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from about right up in here, which is actually on the second level of the Colosseum, right down in here.
Okay.
I'm going to do that again so that you can see just right in this area, about right in here.
All the way down there? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess Will wander over this way.
All right. So there is a column here that is kind of holding up this section of the Colosseum. And within the column, there is a carving of what looks like, it's a circular carving. But within that carving, that looks to be in the shape of like a quarter crescent-shaped moon. And
Okay.
in the space where it would be black, there's actually a mirror device in there.
Interesting. So do I feel like if light hit this and then it shown up toward the spot where we just were, that it might trigger something?
There did not seem to be any other like reflective object on that piece of stone down on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And there also didn't seem to be any other kind of like receiving mechanism or hole or anything like that for it to aim into.
Okay. So I'm going to shine my flashlight on this little mirror thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't do anything.
By itself, it does not, no.
Is it reflecting someplace else from here, though?
Depending on how you're holding the flashlight, yeah. I mean, it's certainly moving it. Mm-hmm.
Try to mimic like the path of the sun with a flashlight to see if it does anything with that.
Yeah, okay, so you're kind of going from the angle where the moon is. And it doesn't necessarily seem to be doing anything. Other than, I mean, like you are now shining it from the angle that the moon is kind of shining, and then you look on the floor not too far from you, maybe about 15 feet from where you're at, and you see a very distinct focus of the moon being shown on the floor. It's really, it's a little fuzzy, but I mean you can kind of see the actual shape and kind of the texture of the moon kind of being shown on the floor.
I call everyone over so that they can look.
Mm-hmm. Now, while this was going on, real quick, priest, what were you doing?
I was probably watching the guards and trying to figure out which of these two priests I'm supposed to be the guard of. When both of them went over, I stuck with wherever Mr. Arcane was to kind of keep our roost up. I also would probably be looking around, but it would be constricted by the movements of Mr. Arcane. So could I make a reasoning roll?
Let me
to see if I
let me come back to that then. If you're going to be shadowing Mr. Arcane, since he had to step away for a moment, we'll come back to that. Beth, what's Spartan doing?
Standing around watching.
Watching anything in particular? Just kind of watching what everybody else is doing, or watching the guards, or a little bit of both?
Both.
Okay.
Just keeping aware of the situation.
So I will say, if that's the case, you would have spotted Will kind of enact his dark force, and spotted one of the two guards kind of spot that happen, and is making a, I wouldn't say a beeline, but a healthy trot towards the other guard that is on the opposite side of the Colosseum.
I warn the other people rather quietly what is happening.
Okay. So Johnny, while you were away, Mark was saying that he was going to be kind of shadowing you. So let's find out real quick what you were doing during this process.
Okay. So, but I do know about Will and Tank kind of finding this maybe secret passage. Do I know anything about that?
About that at this point, no. So
Okay.
what you're doing would be happening simultaneously while Tank and Will are investigating that.
Okay. Well, I mean, he's also kind of looking around for where he thinks something might be stored. I mean, I did have a little bit of a sense of that from maybe the earlier kind of scouting, like if there's an area that's more concentrated than the other. So I'm looking around. So I don't know what I need to do that, or if that's just not fruitful at all, or
as far as the most concentrated area of arcane energy, I mean, you have to basically put it essentially either at the base of the Colosseum floor, right in the center, or right up in this area right in here.
Okay. Well,
which would have been where Caesar, the emperor, would have sat.
Okay. Well, then that's where I'll go.
Okay.
Because that makes good sense to him that something important might have been hidden. Okay. And I mean, we can stay in telepathic contact, right? I have that ability with the crown, and he'll share that, like, hey, I'm going to go check out the emperor's booth or whatever, balcony, maybe.
The emperor's new booth. Good one, good one, Lizard. Make a intuition roll for me.
Okay. All right, and I'll use karma.
Oh, look at that.
I'll spend my 10.
All right.
Because I gotta.
It takes you just a little bit of time to try to get up in there, and we'll say that it was probably during the time that Tank was kind of experimenting with that potential passageway or whatever that is down there. So you're able to kind of maneuver your way into kind of the Emperor's balcony there. And right up at the top, right above where the Emperor would be seated, actually has kind of a clear view of the sky So he's got a view basically of the entire Colosseum.
Mhm.
And right above that, there is a carving in the stone that is circular. And it is in the shape of basically a full moon.
Okay.
And it is a mirror that you can make out within this circular pattern.
Okay, so just above where the emperor would sit, there's a carve out that is a mirrored kind of moon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I tell where, like, so that if a light shines on it, it would be reflected somewhere?
Seems like it, yes. Mm-hmm. Right
Okay.
now, it's facing like perfectly out.
Out.
But I mean, if you look at it, I mean, you can actually kind of spot the moon, and then looking on the floor, you can see where the moon is actually being cast
Okay.
on the floor.
Okay, well, I'll kind of follow that. I'll be like, "Oh, this is interesting," and I'll kind of broadcast that to the group. I mean, I think that's odd. And then I'll kind of go to where I think it's being cast on the floor, and I'll kind of look around there. And
it's just the floor. You're not
yeah,
really spotting, any kind of
okay,
like anything that it would necessarily be focusing on. It seems fairly
no
random.
recess, no nothing
Nope.
like that.
Mm-mm. Now, you said you broadcast that out, so Will, you would have heard that roughly around about the time that you're discovering the other one. Oh, you're on mute.
This time, without being on mute, I will respond with what I have found.
Sorry, and what was that? Wyatt heard a bump, and I had to go investigate.
There is a mirror in this column, and it
Oh,
reflects a crescent moon, I believe, on the ground right here.
right. Show
And
me again.
I think it's attached to the potential doorway that Tank found.
Okay, so I found a mirror somewhere like here, right?
Yep, you did.
And it shines like right in front of me, or shines like out
It's
into the
basically
Colosseum?
shining kind of right down in this area right
okay.
in here.
Okay. And Will found one that shines where?
Will found one roughly in this area here, and his is kind of shining in about this area, right? Well, no, I take that back. Sorry. From the angle that he is probably about right in here.
Okay. Do all the columns have it, or so he starts to look around a little bit? Do I see, any more of these mirrors? Are they like especially well hidden, or we just weren't looking for them at first? Or
I mean, they're cleverly concealed within kind of the design work of the column. Well, in your case, it's not the column. It is like there's like a throne, and it's within like the throne of Caesar's throne here. So it's kind of cleverly disguised within there.
So it's part of the throne.
Yeah.
Kind of hidden in the throne. But for him, it's kind of what? Hidden at the top of the column, or as part of the column?
Part of the column.
Okay. Well, so I'll say to the team, so this, I mean, I feel like this is something, but I'm just not sure what it is.
Have I returned yet from investigating the poop trough?
Yes.
I'm in the same boat. I think this is something. If only we had a poop trough to tie it all together.
Okay, so one is over here by Will.
Yeah.
One's there.
Yeah.
Having heard the conversation going on in my head, otherwise I'd be utterly clueless. I'm gonna go and cruise over here, unless something happens to make me stop, like the guards deciding to start taking pot shots at people.
So Beth, you see the guard reaching the other one, whispering in his ear and kind of pointing in the direction of the priest, not priest, but Will, and kind of pointing in that direction, and they're gesturing and so forth, and the other one is kind of throwing his hand at him and kind of brushing him off like you're crazy, you're nuts, you didn't see anything.
You're out of your
He didn't-
mind.
He didn't possibly call darkness down. He's a priest. What do you mean?
I started toward the guards.
Okay.
Everyone knows it's nuns that are certain of otherworldly darkness, not priests.
She's gonna kill him.
Hey!
She's gonna kill all of them.
And the two guards are roughly about in this area, right over in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over there, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Bombshell, you're able to get to that spot without being accosted by any stretch. And I'm going to have you make a intuition feat
Okay.
at a +2 column shift.
Since I'm actually looking for something specific. Okay. +2, you said.
Mm-hmm.
I will also spend karma on this.
Ooh.
That's
Okay.
good.
Oh, jeez. All right, so that's on the remarkable. I should have rolled on remarkable, but
Oh, well, remarkable. That's better.
So,
Actually, 36 is green on remarkable.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Well,
All right.
still said I was gonna spend it.
So, in this area here, you find a column that is very similar to the one that Will found on the opposite side.
Okay.
And there is another round carving that has what appears to be a half moon, and half of it is a mirror.
Okay, but now, Chris, at mine, it's a full moon, right? Or did I miss?
Yep, yours is full, and Will's is a quarter.
Oh, okay. What is the moon like tonight?
It's a full moon tonight.
Full moon. Okay. All right. Let me think here.
So
and
then we
is the
start
moon-
from a full, go to the half, then to the crescent. That would make sense. So
Mr. Arcane and Will, you guys make a reason feat.
Okay. Can I use my Scholar of Antiquities, or is that a stretch for this?
It really needs to be astrology. If you have
Okay,
any-
yeah, I
anything
definitely
like
don't
that.
have that. That's fine.
I don't have that either.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'll spend karma on that. Oh, what did we say? Reason? Okay. 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 Okay.
Will got a yellow.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get that up to a green, but
So, phases of the moon. We're dealing with a full, a quarter, and a half.
Means we need a new.
Yes. And then there's another that is called a gibbous moon.
Oh yeah.
oh, sure. Yeah. Waxing, waning. Yeah.
You know, I played enough Werewolf the Apocalypse. I should have had that.
Okay, so then, maybe I'll move over to like here and look for a column. I mean, it seems to be going around. So
Mhm.
so he'll just start is there a walkway that kind of like,
should be here.
is, kind of moving around this ring up there, Chris, or no?
Here somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he'll just start walking that walkway
Mm-hmm.
and, look up for, other moon iconography. Let's see, what's the Roman moon god? I don't know. I don't know that Mr.
Wasn't
Arcane
it
would know.
Artemis? I mean,
No.
Tank doesn't know.
Hey, Lizard.
Diana was a goddess of the moon.
Well,
so
I mean-
Luna was the Roman
Yeah.
goddess of the moon.
Yeah.
Lizard. Oh,
She's
Lizard.
an aspect of the triple goddess.
Tank,
Alongside
can
Juno.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you happen to have nearby you anywhere a 20-sided die?
Actually, yes, plenty of them.
Oh yeah, it's a gas means
Critical
freeze.
strike.
I figured he would be the most likely to have something like that.
Nah.
Right?
I've got a bag of
Okay.
dice sitting right next to me.
Can you pull one of those 20-sided dice out for me?
I don't like it.
Why?
Yes.
But why though?
Here's a nice one. Oh, it's a very pretty purple dye.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Hold that up to the camera so we can kind of see it, right?
Oh, a
Hold
dodecahedron?
on. I need to. I'm actually got my zoom.
Oh, okay, yeah. Move your hand down just a little bit. There you go. Okay.
There we go.
So, if we're looking at the 20-sided die, that's basically a dodecahedron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many points are there on each one of those facings?
3.
Is it 3?
Yeah, each facing is a triangle. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
Unless you're talking about a D12, which
Oh,
would then be a
sorry.
pentagon.
it's a D12. Sorry.
Oh, okay, so a pentagram. Yeah.
That's 5 on D12.
So there's your 5. So that would essentially be what a dodecahedron looks like. So if we are talking about
Ooh,
a
I wrote 19.
dodecahedron, there are 5 points that make up one side of a dodecahedron, and there are 5 phases of the moon that we are looking for. The half, the quarter, the full, the new, and the gibbous. So it's possible, if we're thinking about it in that respect, that if you draw those corners, if it is a dodecahedron, we're drawing basically one side of the dodecahedron with where these things potentially might be located. And where you are right now, you're at 3 corners.
Right.
And then there would be 2 more.
So then maybe somewhere
Here?
over
Yeah, like
here?
here-ish.
Let me see here if I can give you something to go by. All right, so there is basically what you have so far.
Uh-huh.
So then, yeah, like here and here. Or maybe lower. Here-ish.
Well, it'll be on the columns, right? Because so far it's been on columns.
It has been.
Yeah.
And Priest did
Well-
move to the opposite direction when
Well,
Mr.
remember,
Arcane went the other way. That's why I've moved him on the map.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. And
remember
Hank too, yeah.
they flooded this thing a bunch to have naval battles at one point, so some
Yeah.
of the columns may not be there anymore.
So I would say
Technically, there are 8 phases of the moon.
there are 8 phases, but when you start breaking it down to the core, there's like, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I did look these up just to make sure. But there's like 2 different gibbous. There's 2 different, So
Yeah.
essentially, when you break it down, it breaks down to 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, Mr. Arcane will move to somewhere like over here somewhere to, kind of suss out and see if there's something there. I suppose it could be somewhere in that area.
So essentially, at this point, you guys know really what you're looking for. And you look at the columns it's not in the columns, but then eventually you're drawn to like the top of the arches right in here.
Oh, okay. Sure.
If I can get it to work. There we go. There we go. Right there.
Yep.
And then one of the arches right up in here. And you spot on this one where a priest is the new moon and then the gibbous moon over here.
Okay.
Which then connects.
So do we need to stand with mirrors or something at these places?
Well, I don't know.
Well, these are already, they all have mirrors in them, right?
Ah, then all we need to do
they
is
have
aim it.
mirrors in them.
So somebody's
No,
just got to
it's-
start with a point of light at the beginning, I think.
I mean, I suppose we could illuminate them. What about the new moon? Is it like, so I mean, a new moon is dark, right? There's no moon.
I
Is
think we should
there,
start with the full moon because it's got the circle, right?
yeah, so
That'll
start there
reflect the
and
most light. Yeah.
yeah, so start here, shine towards here, and hopefully it makes it here, and then what, terminates over here?
I mean, I would, this might just be out of general gameplay, so I don't know if Priest would think this, but I would assume that the transit might actually end where uh, the full moon is, and then shine down towards where human tank's at, and then illuminating that area cause the door to open.
Well, we've got flashlights.
Yeah. Turns on the flashlight. Priest turns his flashlight on and starts shining in the one that he has next to him
Mm-hmm.
to see if the beam seems to travel anywhere or can be directed anywhere.
From the angle that you are trying to shine it at, since it's in the arch, you can't quite get the angle on it that you need to be able to shine down on it from above, like the moon would be shining down. So,
So we need,
trying to hit the
gotcha.
one that's over up above the throne up here, you just can't quite get the angle on it.
Okay. So are they angled so that they go directly across, or do we need to hit them from an elevation to start that chain? Do you understand what I'm asking?
I understand. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The answer to that is you got to just kind of mess with them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are the guards at? Are they still?
They've kind of split up a little bit, but the one is keeping a much closer eye on Will at this point.
I work on intercepting him.
Intercepting him. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
he's
gonna
clueless.
ask him
I have a question.
Oh, hold on 1
Italian
second, Mark.
thing
Sure thing.
about where would I find a good bakery?
Where you can find a good bakery.
He just wants a cannoli.
I just don't want a cannoli.
Father, whatever his name is, if he goes by undercover, would like a good pastry.
Well,
What
that's one way
would you
to keep him
recommend?
distracted.
That
Yeah.
was my intent.
Yep. Yeah, so you can engage him in some conversation there to kind of distract him from what the activity is going on right now. And so, Mark, what were you asking?
I was wondering if using the coloration power that I have,
Mm-hmm.
since it deals with being able to impact the frequencies of the visible spectrum and impact light, change its intensity and such,
Mm-hmm.
would it be possible for him to use the power to kind of suss out what the proper light trajectory would be to cause light to be able to emit between all of these existing moons that we have shown?
Gotcha. All right, let me look at your character sheet real quick.
Little light control. Sounds like a power stunt.
Now, you're not actually using the coloration; you're just using your knowledge of the coloration, correct?
Oh, gotcha.
Of the ability, or
So I'm kind of you know how you have the meme of the person with all of the thought stuff?
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking of it as like without actually initiating, light, like being able to kind of, since he can see the spectrums, I guess technically with the power,
Like how
using them to
Cyclops is great
calculate-
at pool.
So you're kind of activating kind of like the Sherlock Holmes mind palace, but just with light, right?
Right. And if it would be easier to do with a reasoning roll versus the coloration,
And I'm going to do it on a reasoning, but it's going to give you a +1 column shift because of your knowledge of how color and light basically works. So it's going to be at the same level. So remarkable column.
okay. And I'll spend karma on this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, good. Yeah, yeah.
So let's see. That's going to be. So I will pay the karma for getting it to a green.
Mm-hmm. So you're trying to imagine connecting these and making them work, and every kind of combination that you're kind of imagining with the way that these things are pointing, there's no way possible that these in the direction that they are currently pointing, that they can reflect light from one to another to another.
Okay. I put my hand on the one closest to me and see if I can manipulate it at all.
It swivels.
Okay.
Ah.
So I pass along to everybody in the telepathic chain. So I think that these can be moved in order to manipulate how the beam will rest.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so knowing that and thinking about the trigger in that doorway,
Juno is who I was trying to think of.
there. There's no receptor in the doorway itself, but the most important one would definitely have been Caesar, where Mr. Arcane found that one thing. So that's got to be the point where everything ends, maybe?
Converges back to it. Well,
That's
it
what
would
I'm
either
thinking.
be where it starts or where it stops.
Yeah, that's
both.
what I'm thinking. Either the issuing or the termination point.
Or maybe it wraps all the way around.
Maybe.
Okay, well, can we? Okay, so the mirrors that are in the archways, do they also move?
They do, yes.
Okay.
What I might can do is start shining a beam from this new moon to the next phase in, the transit of the moon, and then we
Possible,
gradually
too.
just change these and go between the phases until we get to the full and see if something happens then. And if it doesn't happen there, then try reversing it maybe.
Now,
Okay, so in the phases, the new is the first, right?
Mm-hmm.
that's correct, yes.
Yeah. So then maybe it should start there. And what's down here, Chris? This one?
That one is the quarter.
Okay, and then this one is the
That one is the half.
half. Okay, then this one should be gibbous, right?
Gibbous.
So almost full. And then this one is full.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so start here. I think priest is there. So start here and manipulate that mirror. Well, let's see. Is there a mirror there, or is it just a black plate?
No, it's a mirror. Yeah,
It's
but you
a
can
mirror.
tell by the carvings that it's meant to basically be the inverse. So where the new moon would be completely black, the full moon has markings on it where you can actually kind of tell that it is actually kind of a duplication of a full moon, where this is just kind of a void. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they would both be big full circles, right?
Yes, yeah.
But one is what, convex, I guess, and one is concave.
Well, yeah. I mean,
not exactly.
if you kind of want to think about it that way, but let's say one is smooth, the other one actually has texture to it.
Okay, sure.
So the foil
Right.
has some texture, so you can actually kind of make out the basic idea of the texture of the
The
moon.
shapes of the moon and whatever, like the
Mhm.
whatever, the sea of whatever,
Mhm.
like that. Okay.
See if
Well, I mean,
ability.
so the new moon is the first phase, right? So, and this is a progression. It starts here. This is the next part. This is the next phase. This is the next phase. Then full moon, and then back to new moon.
Okay.
Interestingly, it's a full moon tonight, right?
It is.
Is there a
So-
way to rotate the mirror to catch the moonlight to cast it from one place to the other?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
I think there's our answer.
Yep.
So Priest will start manipulating his new moon mirror to aim towards the mirror that Will has.
Down there.
Now, is there a way so that when it's coming from one, you can angle it so that it will take the incoming and reflect it to the next?
You can certainly try.
I will try.
So
Knowledge
so
I
what
heard
does that.
Priest
Okay.
say that he was going to try to aim it at where Mr. Arcane is. Is that correct?
No, I said to Will's.
To Will's. Okay, got it.
Right.
All right. So you're having difficulty catching
Okay.
the moon and sending it in that direction. You get it close,
Okay.
but it's not quite there. Yes.
Can't
All right.
we-
Hang on. Here's what I think we should do. I think we should all try and, because the mirrors can catch the moonlight. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I think we should all try and focus and catch the light and point it to the full moon.
Give that a shot.
So,
good.
Okay.
so I'm here at this one. Can I rotate the mirror here to cast towards? Well, I mean, I know where it is now.
Mhm.
It's at the throne. It's essentially over the throne, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do I think I can kind of cast it toward that direction?
You start
here?
manipulating it and trying to focus, and just the angle from where the moon is, it's not wanting to
Still
hit.
no.
What if we have to do it in sequence, but facing at the full moon like you're talking about? Like, in order for the mechanisms to unlock, for each of us to do what we need to, we have to start in sequence and move in sequence.
I mean,
Does the full moon one up where Caesar would be sitting
Yes.
move in such a way that it can catch the full moon?
Yes.
And will it reflect at any of the other points if we manipulate it that way?
Who's trying that?
I'll go back because this one I can't do what I think I want to do. So here's what I'll do. So I'm here back at the Emperor's seat, throne. I'll try and manipulate that mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and so this one I couldn't get to cast towards the Emperor.
Right.
Can I manipulate this one to cast towards any of the other two?
Yep.
Or okay, which
Which
one
do you
can
want
I
to
get?
try?
I'll try the new moon.
Okay. All right. So you grab hold, begin to twist and turn, and you're able to focus it directly on the new moon right here,
Okay.
and it hits it solid.
Okay. Do I get any sense that there's been any change or anything? No.
Doesn't seem to be. You didn't hear
Okay.
anything, didn't see anything.
Okay. All right. So this one will cast to the new moon.
okay. So then, Priest, can you take that light that's being caught and send it to Will's?
Sure. I will check to see which ones I can maneuver the beam towards, and that way I'll eliminate which ones I could potentially focus on.
Mm-hmm. All right. So from this angle, you are able to hit the one where Will is located. You're able to hit the one where Bombshell is located, but it's not able to reach the one directly across.
Okay, I'll go for Will's then.
Okay.
And can I bounce it to Bombshell?
It does. Yes.
Okay.
Easily. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I'll try and point it over there if I can.
All right. Now we don't have anybody catching it over here.
Right. Once I
No.
get it
I
pointed
can
over
go
there
up
and I think
there.
it's about right.
I'll go over there if that's what
Okay.
it takes.
That works.
I'm not sure where I am though.
Okay,
Where
let's
am
say
I
I
now?
I
gotcha.
can give that guard something to be
Okay.
worried about. I'll teleport.
All right, so yes, you're able to hit that one, and then tank. I'm assuming you're trying to aim it back towards Mr. Arcane.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So you finish the sequence off, and it hits Mr. Arcane's, and when it hits that, you hear a rumble, and the door directly across where you had been standing prior begins to push inward.
Love it. Okay.
Yay!
Perfect.
And a cold mist begins to flow from that chamber, and all you can see inside from the angle that you are viewing it is darkness. And I think we will explore the corridor in our next episode. What do you all say?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fine.
that
It's
sounds
almost
good.
11. Yeah.
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 I will not be on a
Hello,
work trip at that
darkness,
point,
my
so that'll
old
be good.
friend.
That was a great puzzle.
All right, good.
It
Good.
was.
I was trying to
Yeah,
figure
that's
out a
good.
way to make that work and try
Nearly
to,
beat us.
to put it in that shape. So
It helped
I
a lot.
thought that would work. Yeah.
All
All
I do
right.
have to admit, I was tempted to be like, you know what? Screw this. I'm just ripping the door off the hinges.
It was going to be very difficult for you to do that. I'll tell you that.
Suspected that was the
Could
case.
could you have done it? You alone probably could not. It probably would have taken you and Tank probably to
Okay.
get that open.
Or Bombshell.
Ooh.
She's
strong.
strong, but she's not that strong.
Mm.
She's nowhere near
strong.
tank.
All right, so I'm going to give you some karma for tonight. We'll do 200 karma points for tonight.
Yay.
Okay.
And then we shall meet again in 2 weeks' time. So for those of you that are out there in
meet again.
yeah, for those of you out there in Twitch land that are watching on YouTube, we certainly appreciate you watching, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to say goodbye to the folks that are watching, and I'll talk to you guys here as soon as we're done. So thanks everybody for viewing tonight. We really appreciate it. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Okay.
I'll take care. Have a good one.